All right, Adam, I got it's been a month and a half since we've recorded.
Feels like it was yesterday.
We need to get back on rhythm with a joke. And I feel like I have the perfect one for you because it adds in your math side and your pun side.
A math pun.
Sort of.
This would be lovely. Go ahead, please.
Which book of the Bible is only 80% truth?
Numbers?
Ruth.
Oh my gosh. All right, it's time for the theme song. Oh my gosh, I hit both of them. Wait. Now it's really, I literally hit the space between the two buttons and somehow pushed both of them. Now,
the space between
the intro and outro. Here you go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Brothers, but not by birth. Family, but not by DNA. David and Adam are two of a kind, and they wanna borrow some of your day to talk into your ear holes about midi-chlorians and roller coasters. Those two things are unrelated, but so are they. They're unrelated at birth, like most people who aren't related. Unrelated at birth, but they're brothers in a brotherly way. Now it's time for the phenomenal brother and the golden voice of the South. They're brothers from different mothers, but they're both really proud to be unrelated at birth.
And welcome back to a great, exciting, and wonderful Unrelated at Birth. As always, you've got the one, the only, the golden voice of the South, the human jukebox, Dave Adams, coming to you live and in living color all the way from the top of the state of Alabama. That's right, in Madison, Alabama, in the Unrelated at Birth podcast studios. And as always, I have brought along my friend, the one, the only, the phenomenal brother, Adam Joseph Russell.
I'm on mute. Hello.
Hello, sir.
I didn't want anybody to hear me chewing my jelly beans during the intro. Did you get the reference? If you were on video, you obviously are not going to be able to see this out in Radio Land, but the Drax, yeah. I've mastered the art of moving so slow.
Yes.
That's what I was doing. So, how are you, Dave?
I'm well. So let me speaking of Drax.
Yeah.
We haven't talked since both of our vacations. I have a funny story to tell about my vacation.
Do you?
We actually got Harper on Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time.
Wow. We got Emma on Guardians of the Galaxy in California.
Well, first off, I thought she hated Tower of Terror.
She's never been on Tower of Terror. So that was her first Tower of Terror style ride experience. So a first Guardians experience on both coasts for both halves of this show. But what's your story? Go ahead.
So we get through, Terry Crews does his, what do they call themselves? There's somebody in the crowd yells out day
Epcotians. Epcot-tarians. Does anybody know what they call themselves?
Day drinkers.
Alcoholics. Yeah, I saw one for that too, yeah.
Yeah. So we get in there, and then we get to where they do the whole show, right?
Yeah.
The room doesn't work.
Yeah, was it in B mode?
No, it wasn't even in B mode. We get in there, and the doors don't shut. And so, they start flashing the lights. And it just keeps flashing for a good 2 minutes.
That's awkward.
And they said, all right, well, we're skipping this part. We're just going to go straight to the loading. And I'm sitting there. I've done this ride.
Sure.
10 times at least. I'm doing the Drax part. And everyone's like, someone else is doing Star-Lords. And I just at the top of them goes, wait. There's cake.
This mission is making me incredibly hungry.
And of course, I had the whole crew in stitches. And so I'm having to tell Harper the whole backstory as we're going in the loading zone. I have never seen Guardians of the Galaxy's loading zone so empty. Because there was no...
You're holding it up, yeah.
Yeah, there was no influx of people. So I get in there and I tell the cast member, I know they had nothing to do with this, but I say, all right, look, I am one song shy of having a full Guardians bingo. I need September.
Yeah, good luck. That's the rare one, right? That's the chaser.
The first, like, I get in there, we get up there, I think we went all the way back, and then you hear, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like, yes,
we did it. We did it.
But we get off, and Harper's eyes are as big as saucers. It's just, Daddy, can we go around again?
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're like, no, sweetheart, we paid for a lightning lane. That's a one-time only
We
deal.
And
Daddy didn't
then-
wake up at 7:00 this morning. Sorry, sweetheart.
Oh, I did wake up at 7:00. I went spring break
Oh, nice.
Where-
Yeah,
at 7:00, and
you're already on the bus probably by 7:00.
right,
Yeah.
2 seconds, everything was gone.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But we had, so our lightning lane was between 10 and 11.
Okay.
We had a Akashurst brunch at 11:25. Because of the show part being down, we got off the ride at 11:20.
Mm.
Made it to Akashurst in 2 minutes.
Wow.
Don't ask me how.
Good thing
With
you weren't
two
having to
kids
go to
in-
France.
Not France, no.
No, I know it's Norway. I know, but I'm saying
Norway.
it's a good thing you weren't having to go across to the other
right,
side of
right.
World Showcase. Yeah.
Don't ask me how. With 2 kids in tow, I made it halfway.
You
across.
Disney dadded it, man. You were like, we're going. Come on. It's time.
Yeah. But Dad, I want. Shut up and go.
We're going to see some princesses. Be happy and walk. Yeah.
I will say this though. For the second year in a row,
Yeah.
I saw idiots who let their kids walk up on the Epcot grass near all the flowers and everything.
Did
Why?
anybody tell him to stop?
No, of course not. I was in the middle of Disney dad mode.
No. Did anybody tell them to stop?
No.
It's part of the problem. You got to tell people to stop. But then those same people you tell to stop are not coming back to Epcot for another 3 or 4 years. And then the next people show up and walk in the
So
grass.
the next people you tell to stop, and this isn't part of what we're talking about, but this is one of my surprise topics.
Wait, I only know about one surprise. Is there more than one surprise?
Well, I told you I texted about this one last night.
Oh, okay.
The people that you tell to stop are the people that go on Norwegian cruises and book through a private excursion company and miss the boat. And then
Literally.
NBC News, the Today Show, which I didn't know about until this morning, the Today Show ran an 8-minute piece on why they missed the boat in Senegal or missed the boat in someplace in Africa, and they had to walk and find a way to get back to Senegal and blah 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 blah. I'm sorry. The rules are clearly stated. This couple has said that they have cruised for a lot of times. If you miss the boat, that boat ain't waiting for anybody.
Especially if you don't book through them, they have no way of communicating with the tour provider that you're going to be late.
Right. They said the tour provider called the captain of the ship, apparently, and said they're going to be late.
The tour provider, this private tour provider, called the captain directly.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's a CYB move.
Right. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but and their last quote was, I understand that there are rules and regulations you have to follow, but these people need to remember they're in a hospitality business and they followed it too close to the letter of the law.
Mm. They were an hour late.
Right.
So all of those other people, let's assume it's 6,992 people on a 7,000 passenger ship are now supposed to wait.
Yeah, because you were late.
And not to mention there's probably maritime laws of when they have to do certain things and all of that. It's only hospitality. Unless if she's cruised a lot of times, one of the first things you realize about the cruise business is it is in hospitality. It's a floating hotel and entertainment
Right.
thing. However, it's very much like the military.
Oh, yeah.
There are ranks and laws and strict rules and things that can't be bent. And
There's a brig
definitely
on the
can't be
ship.
broken. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I am proud of America, though. I watched the NBC Today Show thing,
Yeah.
and just for kicks and giggles, I said, "All right, let's look at the comments." Not one comment was saying, "Yeah, they're right."
Yeah.
Every single person was calling this person a Karen.
I very seriously doubt you're going to find much sympathy for a family that can afford a cruise to Africa and a private tour once they get there.
Right.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sympathy for them right now with the way the economy and
That's a 1%er move right there if I ever
and
heard
then to
of
go
it.
complain about it. If the Today Show called me, I'd be like, you know what? I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
To me, that sounds, I get it. I get why, they probably tried to raise, I mean, they're Karens. That's what they do.
Yeah.
My question is, why is the Today Show airing this? Why does NBC News think that this is a news story?
Because a moderately listened to podcast from two guys in Alabama and Florida are talking about it. You watched it. That's why it worked.
Good point. I will say this.
We fell
poor
into
Hoda,
the trap, Dave.
Poor Hoda. She's sitting there and they're
Hoda
doing their
Kotb.
outro, and I could tell she's trying so hard not to say something snarky. She's like, "Man, that must stink."
Yeah.
And then they cut.
She was sitting there thinking to herself, if you'd only booked through Dave Adams,
Right?
none of this would have happened because he would have
Dave-
advised you against the private tour. She was sitting there. She didn't want to say it, but she was going to plug you. She was that
Dave Adams
close.
at travelmation.net.
Yeah, she was that close.
Yeah. But because Unrelated to Birth is brought to you by Dave Adams at travelmation.net.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not Razor. Who are we brought to us by who?
Dave Adams at travelmation.net for all your traveling
Sweet.
needs.
So you're cutting us a check now?
I've paid for a lot of this podcast, sir.
Which parts?
I paid for our hosting sites.
Sites.
We got unrelatedtobirth.com. Who pays for that every year, you think?
That comes from the government. I don't know.
I mean, technically,
I removed you.
you
Bumped the
removed me.
Wait. The space bar is all I have to do? Wow.
And it
But
brings me
then
back.
that's probably the same for you, though. If you hit space bar, does it remove me?
No. So what it does, the space bar redoes your last action.
Oh, got it. And that's what I did.
So wait.
The interesting part of it, though, I can still talk, and because I'm recording on the soundboard, they can still hear me. So
Oh, that's
but if
right.
I remove
Crap.
you, they can't hear you. I'll remember that. Anyway, so
Okay.
enough about crying in the cornflakes for some 1%ers.
So how was your vacation, sir? I mean,
Oh,
we
it was
haven't
excellent.
talked you and I have talked,
Yeah.
but we haven't talked to the people
The people.
in a long time. We didn't record in the month of March.
We sure didn't we? It was a busy month, though. But yeah, no, it was great. It was really the first time we've ventured out anything close to that far. I think the longest trip we ever took, other than going to Mississippi to see Blair's parents, was to Oak Mountain last year and to see you last year.
You didn't come see me last year. You went to Oak Mountain, and then
We drove up to see you. See, this is the problem. See, this is the problem, man. This is the problem with you FOMO, YOLO millennials, man. Is y'all are like, well, you didn't come to specifically see me. It's for several days. No, I only drove 2.5 hours out of my way in the opposite direction of my house after already going to Birmingham. I knew it wouldn't be good enough. I knew you were going to come with that one day.
it is good enough, sir. I'm so
That
glad
old
you
Alabama mentality, man.
I'm glad you hung out with us.
I bet you are.
I'm actually kind of glad that it didn't work out that we could hang out at Disney Springs.
Why is that?
Well, because we had planned to hang out the night before
Yep.
that you left, but we got stuck in Atlanta for 4 hours.
Yep.
And we didn't make it in till midnight. So
And no offense to you, when I had to get up at 1:30 in the morning to be at the airport, I was pretty glad that we weren't able to as well.
I imagine.
But no, it was the first really. There wasn't a long plane ride involved because we had connecting flights, but still, the whole thing of having to go multiple hours out there was interesting to see how the kids did. They were troopers. They were fine. Emma slept on the plane most of the time. She can actually sleep on a plane. I'm jealous of her.
I am too. Wow.
She slept sitting up with this neck thing around her neck that I had got off Amazon, just sitting there the whole flight, over there. And we got to see the Hollywood sign, which the kids were jazzed about. We got to go down Rodeo Drive and see some cool cars, which Aiden was jazzed about. And so we saw Hollywood first, just did the whole
Right.
LA experience and drove around and saw all kinds of stuff. Hollywood Boulevard was actually closed because the Oscars had been the night before.
Right. Oh,
and so they were still tearing down all the stuff. The red carpet was still there, and all the, things that hold the banners and all that were still there. So that was neat to see, even if we didn't get to go down Hollywood Boulevard. But the coolest thing we did that first day was actually go to the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. And because I'm a cast member, you just show your ID at the gate, and I can take up to 3 folks. And we got to walk around and go in the animation building where Walt used to work and do all that cool kind of stuff. So that was neat. And it's interesting to me that my kids have never been backstage to see my office building at a theme park. But we were walking around the Walt Disney Studios, and these sound stages were open, and we could see the sets. And I'm like, nobody's telling me to leave, which they're not going to. Technically, I can be there. I'm an employee, and these are my guests, right?
Right.
But I'm like, I can't take these guys backstage, but we're literally where they're making stuff that has huge financial impact on the company, and they're just like, walk wherever you want, just don't go in a building. It's just so different than the theme park mentality.
But if the sound stage was open, couldn't you just like waltz in if the red light wasn't on?
No, he said specifically which these are the buildings you can go in. It was still pretty prescriptive. But still, to walk by and see it with your eyes is something that you're just not used to being able to do. For them, it's nothing. They do that every day.
Right.
But for us that work in theme parks, it's like we never let anybody backstage, even though all it is a bunch of air conditioners and food handling equipment. Like,
you don't want people to see that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that was really cool to be there and see the Seven Dwarfs Team Disney that they have there, where Iger sits and all that kind of stuff, and the Legends Plaza and everything like that. So it was cool. But Disney, what's that?
You were in that area. Did you go to Walt's restaurant?
No, we did not go to Walt's restaurant and sit at his table and all of that. No, we had to because it's an hour and a half through LA to get kind of in that area, and then it got to get back to Disneyland and all of that. So, but we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel and got a great cast member rate on the e-ticket club level. So breakfast was taken care of, and snacks and all that kind of stuff, and really great cast member there named Robert that took good care of the kids and kind of made them feel special and all that kind of stuff, which is nice to see. And then the parks were great, and got Emma on Guardians, got Aiden on Incredicoaster, rode all we could, saw all we could, and then we went to Universal Hollywood too and got to see Mario Land out there and all of that. And that was a great experience. I wasn't expecting I don't watch a lot of theme park videos. I like to go in and be surprised. Exact opposite of you, right? And so I didn't know about, like, there's keys hidden throughout the land that you have to complete family adventures to unlock, and then you get to go fight Bowser Jr., and we did all that kind of stuff. It was great. I actually got the limited edition gold power-up band that I'm sure they'll sell here when they open it here, but we have one now. We don't have to fight for it.
Right.
But, yeah, it was all around, I think, it was one of those weird feeling theme parks trips where we didn't mind getting up at 6:30.
Yeah.
Because breakfast was taken care of. That was part of it. We knew what was coming. But it was also, the parks are right there. You don't have to travel a long distance. It's not hot. We could be back at the hotel in 5-10 minutes from the theme park to take a rest and stuff. So the whole thing just was very, very enjoyable. Very, very relaxing in a way, which is weird for a theme park trip. But yeah, it was great. We had a really good time.
You say it's relaxing in a way. To me, that is my relaxing trip. Like, if you take me to sit at a beach, or if you take me to your family's place,
yeah,
I don't relax.
Yeah.
My brain just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But if you put me on a park bench on Main Street, USA, or you put me on a park bench,
oh, sure,
at Dreamers Plaza there, or I'm in my heaven.
Well, usually in theme parks we have an agenda, and I feel like I'm tugging everybody through the park right on this agenda thing. This time we made a pact that I made a pact with them that I wasn't going to do that. We got Genie Plus every day we went to a Disney park, and it allowed us to, what are the must-dos, right? We didn't do Casey Juniors, and we didn't do Storybook, and we didn't do Small World. We tried to hit the ones that we would not have a chance to do anything like it again. And it really kind of, that booking ability plus just knowing ahead of time what we were going to do, at least what our must-dos were, it just took the stress out of the whole thing. We
did you put them on Matterhorn?
Yeah, put them on the backbreaker. Yes.
Yes. And then
even
what about
Aiden
Indiana
got off
Jones?
of that one, and he was like, "Oh, I need a chiropractor after riding that."
Imagine a 6'5.5".
I can't. I don't know how you fit into that
man
thing.
in that thing.
Your knees must have been up to your ears. I don't know how you fit into that thing.
So seriously, you have to ask them. Say, hey, I need the most leg room in any of these cars. They have certain cars that they can put you in.
Nice.
But I think it's like the second or the third car in the back.
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, even then, I was scrunched.
Oh, sure.
Like it's Space Mountain, but worse.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, what did they think of Indiana Jones?
They liked Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
They enjoyed it. Radiator Springs Racers was great. The thing that we actually got the biggest laugh and the most enjoyment out of, we enjoyed everything we rode, don't get me wrong, but Luigi's just, every time it makes me laugh because the whole dancing thing, the choreographed dance that the cars do, it's not disrespectful of the Italian culture, but it definitely is appropriating a lot of stereotypes from the Italian culture. But the big thing was like Aiden did not want to be in the middle. You know, he's in that. He said he didn't want to be in the middle, but at the same time, he knew he wanted to be in the middle. And so we picked a car, and him and Emma were in the middle, and all the cars are going around. He's in the middle, just like, no, like that. So, but that we rode that several times and just enjoyed it. I think doing Soarin' out there was cool. And they posted while we were flying back that at some point that week, Patrick Warburton had come out and given the spiel himself. And I'm like, we were there. We rode that, and we were not in that group. And I'm very irritated that we were not in that group. You know,
could you imagine?
Yeah, man. But no, everything was great. We got to do the tiki room, and I love going to that tiki room because Walt actually sat in that tiki room back when they used to charge people 50 cents to go in there, and it was separate. You know, but yeah, they actually had a scrim up, so you couldn't see the lamp. They had it on, but it was behind a scrim because they're doing some work on the exterior of City Hall and the fire station. And as we were leaving, they didn't do fireworks the whole time we were there because of high winds. And the last day was the highest winds. Yeah, it's okay. But the kids in fireworks, it's not, they like them, but it's not like a deal breaker for them. But the last night when we were leaving, one tradition I always had when I went out there was the last night. You got to go to Disneyland, got to stay till park close. Got to say goodnight to Uncle Walt before you leave, right? Right. And they had taken the scrims down because of the high winds, and so you could see the lamp. And so that's cool. That sealed it up, pretty nicely. But it felt like the right length trip. We could have stayed another day, but at the same time, another day and then another one after that would have been a little bit too much, and so it was the right balance. And it was great. So
awesome. The one thing that I thought was the greatest thing to eat out there was in Radiator Springs.
Yes.
At the Cones,
yes.
The Cone Hotel, the cone full of
the chili con queso.
Yeah,
yes,
I got the chili. My wife got the macaroni
and cheese. Yeah. We got the chili con queso, and we got what was the other thing we got? We got dill pickle popcorn, which was really good, and then ice cream. We got the cones were kind of like for that morning that we went to DCA. The cones were kind of like our stop in the morning where we hung out for a little bit, but it was good. We got that, and the one other restaurant that ended up being one of our favorites was Pim Test Kitchen.
Oh, it's so good.
The chicken sandwich there,
that massive chicken.
Oh, it was amazing on the tiny bun. Yeah, that was we got that probably 3 times I think over the course of the few days we were there.
Did you get the sourdough bread at San Francisco?
We did not get a chance to do that.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I know it is. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to do it though. We did get a chance to eat at Rancho Cucamonga right there. Not Rancho Cucamonga. Is that the name of it? The Mexican restaurant right there in San Francisco. But we did that right before we left because what ended up happening. So let me tell this last story. Flights were very interesting. Going out there, we got to Tampa at 3:30, 4 o'clock to board at like 4:30, and the flight attendants were late. The flight attendants were not there. And so they came over the thing and said, hey, everybody, the flight attendants aren't here. We can't take off without a crew in the cabin. So we'll give you updates. And the people at the other desk, the customer service desk said, all the connections are good. You should be fine. If a connection ends up not being good, we will page that city specifically, right? And they never paged anybody, and the flight attendants had to do the walk of shame, And they said it was the hotel shuttle. if you're that late at Tampa's airport, I mean, are you
Right.
serious? The hotels are like right there. So I think somebody's alarm didn't go off, but they showed up. We left. We got literally landed in Denver, got off the plane, stopped to go to the bathroom, got to our gate, and they were boarding our section of A right when we walked up. There was just enough time to make sure we got the seats that we wanted. So we spent all of maybe 15 minutes, a mile in the air, a mile high in Denver. And so, but coming back, we were supposed to.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Would you say that you got a ride in Denver tomorrow night?
No, it was in the morning, unfortunately. Yeah. Almost. If it would have been a red eye, it might have worked. Yeah. But
Garth Brooks,
no, I got you. But coming back, the flight leaving Santa Ana to fly into Vegas to connect to come back. Vegas was on a full ground stop because of weather. How often do they go to a full ground stop because of weather?
No.
Right? Winds especially were the big thing. So that flight got delayed, and it got pushed from like 7 a.m. to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we got a whole extra day. And as I'm sitting there that morning looking, actually it was the night before, I had grabbed a park reservation for DCA just in case. And I'm glad I had it. We ended up getting a whole extra park day, like half a park day.
That's awesome.
And that kind of helped. It felt like we had been there more than we really were because we spent time in Hollywood because we got there so early the first day. And then the last day we got that extra half day in the park.
Yeah.
So it was great.
So can I say something that might be a little sacrilegious about DCA?
Careful.
To me, DCA is a half-day park.
Oh, my gosh. No, it is not. It's wonderful. It's my favorite. It's
I like
Epcot
it
and
because
DCA are my top two.
I like the Hollywood Studios vibe.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I do.
It's the Hollywood Studios vibe, but not at the same time.
Right.
It's weird. But yes, I get your point. I
get it. Avengers Campus, cool. Radiator Springs, cool.
Web
Pixar
Slingers
Pier,
is amazing, by the way.
yeah.
Love
Pixar
that.
Pier, cool. But the front of the park, they could do so much better.
Oh, they could. Well, the front of the park still is a little bit of, especially if you go in and turn to the left down Hollywood Boulevard right there.
Right.
It still has that, just the animation courtyard thing, and then those exhibits, and then you got Mike and Sully in the corner. That section could use a little bit of love, but I mean, you got Soarin', Mike and Sully, which you have to do because it's
so bad.
It's so good though. It's like a
So
pug.
bad.
It's like a pug dog. It's so ugly. It's cute. It's kind of like that. But with Mike and
So
Sully,
what you say is like
Soarin',
Monster Mash at Six Flags?
oh, the plantation. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Don't go in the swamp. Yeah, that one. Yeah. But the Marvel Campus thing I think was great. Pym was a great addition. I was really impressed by that because I remember when it was Bug's Life way back, But yeah,
I
thoroughly
just-
enjoyed it. I wish we could go back like tomorrow.
Disneyland, I can spend all day there. I can spend a day and a half.
Well,
and
yeah,
still-
Disneyland by itself, there's so many attractions. It's,
Yeah.
especially now that they added Galaxy's Edge and now they have Toontown with Mickey and Minnie's.
Yep.
That is a 2-day park for sure.
Easy.
Yeah.
I've heard that the best place to watch fireworks, if you're not going to watch it from Main Street, go sit at Galaxy's Edge, and you hear the Star Wars playing in the background, and you just see the fireworks.
Oh, sure.
It's
Yeah.
just the videos I've seen look awesome.
You can picture yourself at the Ewok celebration, man.
Right. What was Ahsoka walking around?
We did not go into Galaxy's Edge. We can do it here.
No, you can't. Oh, okay,
We can do it here.
This is where we're going to have a disagreement.
No,
Yeah.
really?
They have a Galaxy's Edge in Florida and in California.
Yeah.
But they're mirrors basically.
Mhm.
But California has Chopper. They have a roaming R2D2. They have Ahsoka. They have much better characters. To me, it's more of a Star Wars feel. And I feel like the in and out of Galaxy's Edge to Critter Country and Frontierland is a better transition than it is at Hollywood Studios. So I feel like you can get lost into Galaxy's Edge and into the Star Wars mindset a lot better than you can in Florida.
No offense to characters, but
We do not care.
Well,
different. Rebels isn't a thing for me. Ahsoka isn't a thing for me. It's not for my kids. So different mindset, right? I mean, but I totally get your point. But I still want to know how those characters fit into the Galaxy's Edge by 2 timeline, but I guess that's for another day.
Agreed. I do think that they've gone away from we're in Batuu.
Well, you kind of have to. I mean, people are going to demand things that aren't going to fit.
Right. In fact, I think we're probably going to see Launch Bay go away, and you'll see Vader roaming. You'll see Chewbacca. I mean, Chewbacca's already roaming.
He's there,
But I need to find a way to see BB-8 roaming.
They need the technology for that first, and then you could see him roaming.
It's there.
Yeah. Is it there to roam around with a bunch of guests? No offense to guests.
R2-D2 and Chopper can roam around.
They're not a ball. Oh, I can pick him up. I can kick him. Somebody eventually is going to do it. It's just a matter of time.
I got evac'd off of a ride for the very first time in Galaxy's Edge on this trip.
Rise of the Resistance?
I have never been evac'd from Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah. Where were you?
I was about to go into the interrogation chamber.
Okay.
So we hadn't even made it on the ride proper.
Did you get a fast pass?
Yes, but we didn't use it.
What?
I know.
But y'all had already done Rise anyway, right?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, this isn't our first rodeo. I mean, we've done it before.
Of course not. You've been there 58 days and the last 365 days.
Actually, no. So this trip in March was our first time down there since October.
That's got to be a record.
It probably is.
That's almost a proper 6 months.
It is a proper. No, it's
5 months.
5 months. Yeah. But I mean, it had been a while. I also rode Star Tours for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if because it was late at night, because this was during the after hours event. I don't know if it was because there wasn't that many people on it, or if it was after I had just had those new really good churros. But my stomach did not like.
Dave, your age is catching up to you a little bit, man.
It might be. And it's funny. That's a great transition to my surprise topic. So,
drum roll.
Anyway, so Adam and I had, all week we're saying, all right, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? I said, all right, you come in cold. I got a great topic. It's going to be a deeper-ish topic, but I want your just unbridled opinion, and I don't want you to have time to really think about it.
Okay.
So we're recording this on April 3rd. In 16 days, I turned 43. So I was having a retrospective of 43 years of life and how I've looked back at my life and how I feel at 43, and then kind of look back at how I can remember my dad feeling at 43. Now, keep in mind, my dad was 24 when I was born. So at 43, I was 19.
19, yeah.
So I was in college. I was already gone from school. My dad was a very successful businessman, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Adam, why is it that at 43, you and I, we play video games, we get down on the floor with our kids and play with them, we go to the theme parks, we look and feel and act. I'm not going to say feel because I don't know how my dad feels, but look and act younger than our parents did at 43. Why is that?
I'm going to say, and I don't know that you're going to like my answer.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say there's 2 reasons.
Okay.
And we were going to do a topic of conspiracy theories, and that kind of got moved around.
And we still will.
We still will, but this was going to be one of them. So it actually fits perfectly. I'll share what one of mine would have been. This isn't an entirely true statement, but it's true enough for me to say it. One of the things that people say when they talk about why don't we go to the moon again is the technology doesn't exist, and people balk at that, right? Technically, it's true. The technology existed until it was gutted and laid in the grassy field in Huntsville The shell of the rocket was stood up so everybody could look at it, right?
So I've got a theory on that. I actually listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson on this the other day, actually.
Okay. So let me round this out, and you can add your color commentary. So the technology existed based off of 50s and 60s components. And now, if we wanted to get to the moon, we have to build that from scratch, e.g. like a Falcon Heavy, with today's components, because the machines aren't there anymore. The molds aren't there anymore. The manufacturing facilities aren't there anymore. The blueprints are old and dusty. None of that can just be rebuilt tomorrow. We do not have the capability to rebuild a Saturn V tomorrow. So we have to find another way, which is what Boeing and SpaceX and all these people are trying to do now. So we're trying to get back to that point. And a lot of people say, well, if it was there, why are we having to recreate it? And it's because the same reason that you can't build a 65 Mustang. We don't have the technology today to build a 65 Mustang again.
Right.
We have the technology to build a Mach-E and a 2024 Mustang GT Performance Edition, but we can't build a 65. The parts aren't there. The molds aren't there, et cetera. So I would share your color commentary real quick before I get into where I'm going with this.
So real quick about the moon.
Please.
We got to be first to the moon. We had to be first to this, had to be first to this. Well, who was the first in space, actually?
Russia.
Who was the first to send a mammal into space?
Russia.
What was the first thing what was the actual only first thing that the Americans were first at?
Orbit. A man in orbit.
And getting to the moon.
Yeah.
So
or was it a man
we
in
got
orbit?
to the moon.
I don't even think it was a man in orbit. But anyway, it was getting to the moon, yes.
Yeah, it was getting to the moon. We got there. We did it 3 or 4 times. Russia didn't care.
America didn't even care the third or fourth time.
Right, exactly. So by the time we got up there, Russia stopped. We're like, okay, who cares? Let's ground the program.
Yeah.
Let's just now work on getting out there. So it's at the time, the reason it was stopped was capitalism.
Yep.
It was no longer important to show the world whose is bigger.
That leads perfectly into where I'm going with this, Dave. Oh, it's like we talked about this beforehand, and we didn't.
We did not.
We actually did not. So here's the point I want to make. And again, this is not true in every sector. There have been no major advancements in technology since the space age. Let's say 1969. Hang on. Let me finish my point before you give me that look. That have driven anything other than devices that provide either communication or entertainment.
Okay.
Now, there are microsurgery robots and minimally invasive robotic surgery, and we have electric cars, and we have all kinds of things that we had. But think about it like this. One of the reasons that you and I act younger than our parents is because all of the technological advances since the moment we were born have been around entertaining you and entertaining me. I would say 75% of the major leaps in technology have been in computer processing, LCD screens, OLED, all of those types of things that build a component that goes with you everywhere you go. And if you look on the App Store, just don't worry about the 70, just say a majority, okay?
Okay.
If you look on the App Store, if you're doom scrolling through Facebook and a reel pops up with an ad for one of those shoot the barrels and make the numbers down, and then you get the extra gun and all that junk, and then the app's not like that. If you look at any of those apps and you look at the reviews on the review score or on the App Store, what do you see they say? Do not download this game. It throws an ad in your face every 10 seconds.
Right.
So one of the reasons that you and I act like we're still 23 is because we're constantly in the middle of a serotonin factory that is meant to capture our attention and hold our attention, which makes it hard to task switch from being dopamine, just driving it into your brain. Now I've got to go switch and do this over here. I don't want to because it doesn't make me happy like my phone does. Right? That's reason number one. Now, here's the thing, Dave. You have just as many responsibilities as your parents had.
I'd say maybe more.
Maybe more. You got to remember all these stupid passwords for 150 streaming things they didn't even have to do. Your dishwasher's not drastically different from the dishwasher they had. Your washing machine, not drastically different. Not drastically different. It still does the same thing. Maybe with less water, maybe with less energy. It does the same thing. Your dryer's not drastically different. If you think about the Jetsons and the vision of the future, flying cars, robotic maids, TVs you could talk on, all of that. We don't have flying cars. So our commute is not any better.
We have robotic maids.
We have a robotic maid that vacuums most of the floor, but you still have to go after it. And if it gets stuck under the bed, you have to rescue it. Okay. So anyway, my point with that being, you have all the same responsibilities and most of similar technologies that your parents had, but they weren't constantly entertained. They didn't have such a high level of dopamine in their brain that task switching was difficult for them. So we act like toddlers because a toddler doesn't want to let go of cookie num num to go eat vegetable broccoli. And that's what tasks are like to us. So that's number one. Here's reason number two, and you're going to hate this one.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to say two words, and you're going to know exactly where I'm going with this. Hasbro Pulse. Toys are not for children anymore. The toys that they sell to our children are blind bags. Funko Pop is a good example. That's not a toy. It's a collectible, right? Say it. Go ahead and say it.
It is not a toy.
Here's my point. In 1984, Ghostbusters came out. And I was telling my kids about this because we watched Ghostbusters 2 the other day. The big toy was the Proton Pack. Now, the Proton Pack, when you and I grew up, and my kids could not believe that this was the case, was a plastic hollow backpack with a yellow tube that connected to a plastic hollow thing that you had to push the button to make it go with the pool noodle that you stuck into the front that you had to shake physically with your hands to make it look like the thing on screen.
Yep.
A Proton Pack toy today is a $400 Hasbro Pulse screen-accurate replica that adults buy and hang on the wall.
Wait, there is one? Hold up.
There is one, yes. Exactly my point. But thank you, Dave. There is one. Toys are not for children anymore. So what they are doing to us, number one, is they are keeping us perpetually entertained, and I said serotonin, but it's actually dopamine, in a dopamine factory so that our brains are difficult to task switch. The second thing they're doing to us is they're letting all the nostalgia build towards toys that are only meant for us. I will ask you this question. So we're perpetually kept in a satiated state. Hang on, before you talk about that. We're perpetually kept in a satiated, entertained state, and we're always playing with some kind of toy. Let me ask you this, Dave. Can I ask you a question?
It has the slime on it.
It has the slime on it. Can I ask you a question?
Okay, sorry.
Let me ask you a question. When you walk into a room to this day, to this very day, does part of your brain assume that everyone in the room is older than you?
Always.
You're 43 years old, David.
I know.
I'm 43 years old. Blair's 44. And I polled her on this too. All three of us walk into any given room and still assume that we're the youngest person in the room, and it's not true.
It actually is at my office right now.
Okay, I thought the same thing at church today, and I looked around the room and I'm like, wait a minute now. No gray hair, no gray beard. You got to do the math, right? But we have never been given the opportunity to not be entertained and not have things catered to us. And it's one reason, I think among many, that the Star Wars fan base is the way it is. When something's not for them, OMG, right? It's the worst thing ever.
Hold up, Adam. I'm going to throw stones in a greenhouse here. You're kind of the same way with Star Wars.
I did not say that I was immune to this.
Okay.
I'm talking about I fall prey to the same traps. But technology is centered around us being entertained with an ad in our face every 5 seconds. And toys are only made for us. It's one of the reasons that I try with all of my might, as hard as it is, because right over here, I've got Rocketeer things. And I know you're looking at my background, looking at all this stuff. I try to only buy things that are like that Proton Pack, but not like screen accurate or it means something or I liked that part. I don't try to buy the toy side of it as much. For that reason, it just kind of started getting to me. It doesn't mean I hate anybody that does. I'm not mad at anybody for doing it.
Well, see, I don't.
But you asked the question.
I don't have toys either.
I didn't say you did. You don't get I'm sensitive.
I'm the same way. Like if you look at in my man cave here, all the Funko Pops I have, I don't collect a Funko Pop just to have a Funko Pop. All of them I have, I'm actually connected to in some way.
Sure. That's what you choose to collect. It's no different than a coin collector. I'm just saying it contributes to that feeling that you're always the youngest person in the room.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, it contributes to it. But here's one good example, and then I'll let you speak. And I'm sorry that I'm rambling on this a little bit.
No, this is fine.
I was prepared to talk about this for something else. If you think about where our children are today, when you and I were 12, 13 years old, they came out with the lightsabers that had a flashlight and that little conical thing that you had to sling to get it to extend, right?
Right.
And that was all we had. And we were awesome for having it. Now, little Billy gets that. Daddy goes to Savi's workshop and builds a $400 screen accurate replica of the Force from nature, or takes my child, however much, or takes my child to do it. Fine. But Daddy, mommy gets screen accurate replica proton pack. Here, little Billy, have a blind bag, right?
But what if little Billy just wants the peg?
Little Billy wants that lightsaber. It's so, how could he not?
Well, here's the deal. No. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Adam. And this is how I give Ellie an option sometimes. I say, all right, Ellie, here is the Ahsoka dual lightsaber set, not the $200 set. I'm not going. I know how my kids destroy things.
But that's my point.
But
they're not toys.
Do you want the $70 set that Hasbro makes, the Disney sells, which I have bought for her already? But I said, do you want this or do you want the blind bag? She immediately goes for the blind bag because YouTube is showing all these kids opening and saying, oh, this is a super rare one. Oh my goodness. So
what you're saying to me is that our younger generation has been trained that the dopamine they get from finding a super rare thing is more valuable than having something that's actually useful.
Exactly.
Dopamine is the valuable part of the transaction, not the thing you get. Yes.
Right.
So here's my other thing. I'll close with this. I think there is a reason, and I'm going to put this last part very vaguely, and I would ask that you follow me down the vague path and don't get incredibly specific because we were texting about something like this earlier today.
Okay.
What better way, and I'm going to go a little religious here, what better way for the devil to really hamstring our society at large, the world, not just the United States, but the world at large, than have a group of adults who are children while you push content that turns our children into adults by giving knowledge they should never have too early? What better way than having adults who are children and children who are adults? The knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life in the garden, those types of things are things that you should never know until it's appropriate. And that's part of it. But I think honestly, people can laugh, they can roll their eyes at me. I think the devil has a leg up on us right now. It's a broken world. He always has, right? But they're making us feel 12 and making our kids feel 22. And that's going to be a problem one day.
Yeah, I agree. So here's what really brought this on for me. I'm sitting there in the car, and I'm listening to. I don't even remember what song. Yeah, actually, I kind of do. You'll laugh when I say this. I was listening to Sirius. It was on the '90s and 2000s pop, 2K country or whatever it was. Chad Brock, check yes, or Chad Brock.
She said yes.
She said yes, and I, sitting at Patey, you and I just hanging out listening to that. Every time I hear something like that, I'm back to Patey Hall, 4th floor, 5th floor, whatever. And I'm thinking, here I am. I'm 43. I can barely take care of myself. And God has seen fit to give me a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old to be in charge of, to be the head of a household of, a brilliant wife, beautiful wife who is very successful at her job and very driven. Yet God has put me in this role. How am I supposed to take care of myself when I feel like I'm 20 still? How much less take care of a very ADHD, very anxiety-driven child. I mean, you and I were texting earlier. I was dealing with some pretty rough emotions tonight with the girls.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to deal with that when I barely feel like I know how to deal with myself? And that's when it hit me that, why is it that our generation feels, I don't want to say we're ill prepared. And I'm going to rile up some of our older people that listen.
Why stop? Go ahead, Dave. Go for it.
But it's almost like elder Xers and the boomer generation didn't know how to take care of themselves. And so they took it out on us And now the cycle is seeing itself repeat. So all elder Xers and boomers knew how to do was what their parents did. The dad leaves the house. Dad works all the time. I'd say a lot of dads are probably very, very, very busy at work all the time. Comes home, dinner's on the table, good to go. But now the roles have changed for the good. I'm not saying bad or good. We as Zennials have the model in our head of what our parents did, which was a version of what their parents did. And we don't know how to adapt to the change very well, but we can only hope that Gen Alpha and Gen Z and Gen Alpha will see our attempts at trying to be better. And then it gets better down the road.
But that's the problem.
See, I see it. Wow, this is so you're in my friendship. I see it glass half full. You see it glass half the
glass is sized appropriately.
Empty.
The glass is sized appropriately for the amount of water it's given. So so you're hoping that Gen Z and Gen Alpha will have a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
But nowhere in those statements did you say Gen X and Elder X, Boomer, and the previous generation before that had anything worth redeeming. So
they did.
My point being,
okay,
if we're not giving that credit and it's all about the cycle repeating, we have to be able to give that credit for the next generation to see that credit should be given, even if it wasn't perfect. Here's the secret, though, dude.
But
problem.
Before you tell me the secret,
okay, go ahead.
I feel like there wasn't enough change from Silent Boomer to Boomer X to see a whole, in their parent generation, right? There wasn't that big of a change from women in the workplace. Dad comes home, smokes a cigarette. Honey, what's on the table? But now that we are in their position, there is a change, and we're having to adapt to be in this new era or new normal. And so I think that Gen X or Gen Z and Gen Alpha are seeing our shift and hope that they'll give us credit for trying.
I understand your point. I think, though, that ultimately what we're coming to terms with this is we realize sitting here today in our mid-40s.
No.
42.
Mid is 45.
40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, yeah. We'll go mid is 44 to 46. Let's call it that, right? We got one more year left. What we're realizing is that half of adulthood, maybe 3/4 of adulthood, is just making it up as you go based off the information you have. And the thing that's different for us, that was different for our parents, that was different for the generation before them and the generation before them, is we have a platform in front of our eyes every day where millions of people tell us, holy crap, what are we doing? We're just making this up. Struggle, comment, fight. And we never meant to know that many different opinions at the same time. Right. So I think, social media is driving a little bit of that because it puts a megaphone on the fact that nobody really knows what the heck they're doing. Then you throw in things like COVID, and then you throw in things like the social changes, and then you throw in all of that. It feels like a huge shift is undergoing with all of that. But I would say when you live through an era of Vietnam, Kennedy getting assassinated, the civil rights movement, watching the things happen with that, there were some pretty seismic shifts going on back then too. But I think at the end of the day, it really just comes down to we're just now realizing what our parents were having to deal with. And the reason we feel ill-prepared is there's no possible way that you can fully prepare a human being with the knowledge of what's coming when you finally have that moment of realization. And as a generation, we're all having that moment together, taking pictures, videoing it, and putting it out there for everybody else to see. So if nothing else, at least we're not alone. Right?
You are not alone.
I mean, at least we're not alone. But I think that I don't think it's, and maybe individual mileage varies. I don't think it's a lack of preparedness more than it is. I'll liken it to Goofy Movie. Goofy Movie meant less than nothing to me based off of when I was, and there's some difference there between us two, but let's use the prequels even as an example. There are people that view those as a critical part of their childhood. We were in college. There are people that view that as a critical part of their 8-year-old self back in the day, and they look on it with loving eyes. One day they'll hit the stage where they realize these movies really aren't that good. That's the same moment we're having right now about life. We remember life through the lens of a 12-year-old sitting there. And we remember that so well because everything is geared to remind us of that every single day. Remember Ghostbusters? Here's another one. Remember Thundercats? Here's another one. Remember Transformers? Here's another one.
Well, case in point, have you seen the latest thing up for Marvel on Disney Plus right now?
No.
X-Men 97.
Yeah. With changes. With updates made to it. But here's another one. And it's that perpetual reminder, but it keeps us in that mindset of the good old days. And we think about that direct comparison. We're living the same life from an entertainment standpoint that our 12-year-old selves lived while we're trying to wrestle with 43-year-old realities. Our brains were never meant to do that. You're meant to watch a TV show one time, and then you turn it over to Mitch Miller, and the kids go to bed. Not watch the same thing. It's the sing-along stuff they used to do back in the day and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, the variety shows. Don't. You don't know about the variety shows, the Carpenters and all that crap that used to come on. Lawrence Welk and all of that, yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I just think that there's so much that's different, but the entertainment stuff is the same. And it's keeping us rooted in a time that we weren't meant to stay in for very long. We weren't meant to stay in our childhood forever, and we're being forced to in a way, and we're willingly doing it after a point.
Yeah. So we were going to do the wheel of things Adam hates, but all the three things that are there are things my 12-year-old self would love to talk about. So we're going to wait till next week to do. So see, I can't do it because of the sermon you just preached, Adam.
Sorry.
Speaking of sermon, have you listened to the podcast yet?
I have not. That's not sermon. How's that like a sermon?
I did a good 10-minute sermon.
Did you on the WCA podcast?
I did.
Okay.
I was proud of myself.
Yeah, I got to listen to this thing.
See, I'm trying to get you to listen to it. Wanted your opinion.
Did you plug Travelmation on there like you did on ours?
No, but I did plug Unrelated at Birth.
There you go. Thank you for
that.
And
you saw Westminster even plugged Unrelated at Birth.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, heck yeah. For those people who are now listening to us because of the Westminster podcast,
greetings. Welcome to the party.
WCA member, WCA alum of 1999 here.
And I'm a Baptist. They all run away. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Dude, we got Baptists at Westminster. We got non-dom. We got PCA. We got
non-dom.
Non-denominational.
No, I know, but it's like they got a name. They have an abbreviated name.
I'm a non-dom.
Non-dom.
Non-dom. Oh, man. All right, Adam. So,
I feel like I killed the mood. I'm sorry.
You did. I was going to ask if you'd watch X-Men 97, but I know that answer now.
My kids were interested in maybe.
Have they watched it?
What's that?
X-Men 97.
I'll see if they're interested, yeah.
That's a great
I did. Let me say it because I had the thought. When I was talking with Blair earlier about what I was going to say with the conspiracy theory thing. It's like when we were kids, they used to make toys for us and video games for us and cartoons for us. What do they make for us now, Dave?
toys and
Video games and
cartoons.
Yeah, boy.
I'm trying to make things happy again.
Hold up. They also make toys and video games and stuff for our kids.
No, they do not. We had this conversation the other day. I'm going
Bluey.
to use, yes, everything you see online is not, my kids love this show. It's, here's what I personally got from this. Oh my God, guys, I found a long dog. Look at the picture I found of the long dog. Come on.
But Bluey is for the kids, but the parents take something of it.
And that's the problem.
It's like
That's the problem.
we've had this conversation before.
That's the problem.
We've had this conversation, I think, when Unrelated Birth just started. Is Shrek a kid's movie?
No, it's never intended to be.
It is.
It's a cartoon with the names of some of those characters and the jokes they make. That is not a movie for children. If your children watch that, we need to talk.
It's a kid's movie with adults undertones.
It's an adult movie made in a thing where they could sell toys to kids because they still did that back then. Bluey is a way that you can talk with your kids about difficult subjects like death and moving on and babies and things like that. But the problem is adults make it their entire personality. I'm going to get a Stanley Cup with Bluey on it. Why? Why don't you just buy a sippy cup? It's the same thing. It's making it your whole personality that's the problem, Dave.
I can definitely agree with that.
Thank you. Dang.
But I don't.
I'm going to snippet that out, and I'm going to put that on my soundboard.
What, that we agree with each other on something?
That you agreed with me on something.
I'm still looking at this Hasbro Pulse proton pack.
I have to lie. One of the things I would love, they make if you go on Etsy, people make Barbasol cans that have the embryos inside of them from Jurassic Park. See, that's the kind of stuff. Handmade, cool little things like that, fine. But,
dude, they have the Darth Raven.
I don't even know who that is.
It's a Star Wars Darth character.
There's so many of them now.
I know, but he is actually non-canonical right now.
Oh, really? What was he from?
He is from, I can't remember the book, but he is awesome. Just trust me.
Oh, all right.
Go
with it.
I'm gonna have to look at this Hasbro Pulse site here tonight. My wife is.
They have some of the other equipment too.
My wife is going to hate you. Oh, they have some of the original Ghostbuster set. Dude, hold up. Look. Tell me you had these toys.
The real Ghostbusters, the cartoon.
Yes.
I did. It was a cartoon. And those are toys. It
was, but okay. Anyway.
And they're $15. What in the world is that all about? Is plastic more expensive than it used to be? No, because it's made for adults, and adults make it of money.
So it was probably like $5 back in the 80s.
Let's see.
So if you put an inflation rate to it, it's probably priced lower than it was if you put inflation to it. So you let your kids watch Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah.
Like the original 1989 Ghostbusters 2?
Was there another one that I'm not aware of?
Well, the one that just came out.
I mean,
Okay. Awesome.
We coughed over the language and zipped through the one part, but I mean,
what did they think?
Oh, they liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. He's Vigo, the child.
Hey, yo. Hey. Yo.
Yo.
We went and saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire with
You let your children watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
Huh?
You let your children watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
Yeah, I did. I did. No, I'm
just throwing it back at you.
I know. If you like the original two Ghostbusters, and I think that Frozen Empire matches the tone of the original two Ghostbusters better than Afterlife did.
And I heard there were a lot of callbacks to 2 because a lot of people were saying that 2 isn't canon because this is all people have time for anymore. That 2 isn't canon because in Afterlife they're back to using the original logo. Nothing you see in Afterlife has the ghost holding up 2 fingers, and that's so they saying it retconned too, but then this one has a lot of elements from Ghostbusters 2 in it. So I don't know.
I will say one thing I love. I love that they did a lot of throwbacks. I'm going to spoil one of them for you because I know you're how you are about movies. You probably won't go see it until it gets in the theater, until it gets at home movies or something
We're
like
actually
that.
going to go see this at the drive-thru this week, or drive-in this weekend. So,
Are you?
cram that in your cram hole.
Okay. Then do you want me to say it?
No,
I got to. Okay, I've got to. I'm sorry.
you're not. I'm gonna take off my headphones.
Okay, fine. I won't. But great. There's some great throwbacks to the original Ghostbusters in this one. I love it.
Do you know why?
Why? Because Dan Aykroyd wrote it.
No, because they're trying to keep you appeased because of what we talked about earlier.
Whatever.
We got Ghostbusters when it was for our generation. Now it's still for our generation, and we're trying to drag our kids into it, but they don't get it because it's not for them anyway.
But they actually still do like it. Oh my gosh,
They like it, but they're not going to make it their personality. You know why? Because they have YouTube. They have YouTube.
Yeah, well, that's all that they can watch. They only like stuff in like 20-minute clips. They can't sit and watch a 2-hour movie anymore.
My kids can.
Well,
that's not a humble brag. I know what you're saying, but
yeah.
Actually, I'm trying
attention span. It's the TikTok gen.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, all right. So we will be back in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, it will be 2 days before my birthday.
You sure about that?
Will we be back in 2 weeks?
Will we be back in 2 weeks?
I don't know. It depends on how life has been, man. I mean,
I say,
okay, let's go.
Let's do it. 2 weeks.
Let's do it. Do we
2
go back
weeks.
to doing it every week then?
No.
Mr. Big Shot.
But the spreading it out was to provide more quality content. I'd say, based off of my wonderful points of view I was able to share, that it was worth the wait.
Mr. Debbie Downer, every party has
What are you talking about?
every party has a pooper. That's why we invited you. Party pooper, party pooper. That's you. All right.
You made me sad, Dave.
Do we have a Virgil Ask a Question this
We
week?
do, yeah.
Well, then let's roll the clip before we end the show.
Fine, here we go.
Hey guys, I got this week's Virgil Asked a Question.
Hi.
Since we're discussing conspiracy this week, I thought mixing a little history with a little conspiracy would add a little spice to the discussion. The motto, Novus Ordo Seclorum, was translated and added to the Great Seal by Charles Thompson, a Latin expert who was involved in the design of the Great Seal as, and I quote, a new order of ages, end quote. Thompson said it was to signify, and I quote, the beginning of the new American era, end quote, as of the date of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, which was depicted in Roman numerals at the base of the pyramid on the seal. According to Richard S. Patterson and Richardson Dougal, both noted historians, annuit coeptus, meaning, and I quote, he favors our undertakings, end quote, and the other motto on the reverse of the Great Seal, Novus Ordo Seclorum, meaning, I quote, new order of the ages, end quote, can both be tracked back to a famous Roman poet. The conspiracy has always been that the part that reads, I quote, Novus Ordo Seclorum, end quote, was a cryptid line for, and I quote, a new world order, end quote. My question is, who was the Roman poet that originally scribed both lines on the Great Seal? Thanks, Guy. Have a great podcast. Bye.
Who was it?
So first off, CO-Inspiracy was supposed to be tonight. But we'll talk CO-Inspiracy on our next episode. Conspiracy. I don't know. I don't know any Roman poets.
The answer is right in front of your face.
Mac? Adam?
No. Well, right in front of your ears, maybe.
Nose? Hat?
The poet,
Beard?
according to records, historic record, the poet was Virgil.
Ah,
Was there the whole time.
I see what he did there.
Ba-ba-boo-wee.
I like it, Virgil. But did that Virgil ask questions?
I'm sure he did it. Excuse me, at some point, like, hey guys, I was thinking about writing something about the New World Order. What do y'all think?
For life.
Is that what you were doing? I couldn't tell what the hand signal
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Was that the NWO?
That was the NWO.
Or-
So what was it that he talked about?
What was it that who talked about? The Great Seal?
For life.
I have no idea what that is.
It's the NWO theme.
Oh, okay. And then they all retired, so it wasn't evidently for life. Sounds like a White Snake song.
Do what?
Sounds like a White Snake song.
No, it was actually so.
I just realized you don't have your headphones on.
I don't. They're still upstairs for my vacation. So WCW actually, if you listen, that's the entrance to a Jimi Hendrix song.
Oh, nice.
So WCW kind of used that music.
Did they pay for it?
WCW kind of used that music.
Point taken.
Yeah. All right. So that's the show. Guys, we say it every week. We do truly mean it. We do love you. We love when y'all interact with us on the socials, Facebook, the Unrelated at Birth Facebook listener group. Just search it on the group. If you're not part of it, please join us. I'm going to be nice this week.
Not what's wrong with you, but please join us.
Please join us and download the show. Tell your friends. Invite them to the group. We love new people. For just $20 a month, you too.
Hang on. Keep going.
For just $20 a month, you too
That's all I have.
can save a Karen who is on a cruise ship and has missed her port.
We should try that with a Patreon again and be like, for just $5 a month, you too could sponsor two guys with nothing better to do than talk at each other about things they've already texted about earlier in the day. And we'll just look in the camera with puppy dog eyes. Oh, pay for my soundboard, please. Pay for my soundboard.
My kids need to eat.
Then go feed them. Oh, man.
For just $20 a month, you too can help support Dave's DVC habit.
Dave hasn't bought a Funko Pop in nearly 3 months. Can you believe
Honestly?
that? Uh-oh. He's looking.
The last Funko Pop I bought, it was about a year ago.
Was it the 100th one? The Disney 100?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Dave.
It was actually this one. But see this, so okay, the
What
one
is
I'm
the-
holding in my
say
hand,
what this one is.
it's Walt holding Timothy and Dumbo. So this one is very special to me. That's why it's sitting on my desk, because A, it's Walt, because I am very connected to Walt.
Sure.
And B, it's Dumbo, and I think we all know my connections to Dumbo. Right? I've told the story
Yeah,
before, right?
you've told
Okay.
that story. Yeah.
So it's very poignant for me.
Poignant.
Poignant.
So
So anyway, all right.
Join, David.
So Adam, if they would like to call into the show and tell our listeners their views on why our generation feels younger than our parents' generation, how would they do that, sir?
they could dial it's not the birth line. What was it called again? The delivery line?
Delivery line.
It's been over a month. The delivery line, 863-345-0088. Yes, I did that without looking at the screen. 863-345-0088. Leave us a message. We will play it on the show with a question, hot take, an answer to the question Dave just posed. Whatever you want. Do it.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You did it without looking.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. Guys, we say it every week. We do truly love you guys. We
Wait,
love
what's the other way they can interact with us?
I said on the
Oh,
socials.
you did already say that because you didn't say what was wrong with them. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was so
Hey.
different than the norm. It's almost like it didn't happen.
What's wrong with you? There you go. Guys, we say it every week. Every listen we get, every interaction we get, we do truly love you guys. The fact that you listen to two guys with nothing better to talk to than our old text conversations, it blows our mind. Honestly, if we had two people listen, if the only two people we had listen were Virgil and Kathy, we'd still do it. I'm not saying that to call them out, but I know that if only two people listen, it would be Virgil and Kathy.
It's true.
That's just, if they were the only ones that listen, that we still do it. But the fact that people all over the country
And the world.
and there are people international that listen, it blows my mind personally. I can't tell for Adam if it does him or not. I can't speak for him, but it blows my mind, and I do truly appreciate every single one of you that download and interact with us. I truly don't ever want you to forget that. We do not take these microphones lightly.
Sorry, I got to say really quick.
What?
I'll let you close out. Australia, Indonesia, Poland. I know who the UK is, but Australia, Indonesia, Poland. Hang on.
We know Canada. We know a couple of Canadians.
Alberta. I don't know that we know anybody. Just whoever. Facebook group.
Alberta's Brad Toon.
Okay, Brad. Yeah, okay, he is. You're right. But we've had Newfoundland and stuff, right? Any international folks, email adam@unrelatedatbirth.com, david@unrelatedatbirth.com, unrelatedatbirth@gmail.com, sidelinewarningpodcast@gmail.com. Join the Facebook listener group. I want to hear from somebody who's international. The first person that does gets a prize. I'll even pay international shipping. Or we'll split it. But you get a prize out of our prize box.
Yeah.
I just want to know who this is, especially Australia, Indonesia. I want to know who you are. Would love to meet you. So please let us know.
Would love to. Yeah. I forgot where I was going, what I was going to say. But I was being sappy. I do truly appreciate everything. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You might notice a different tone to the podcast sometimes. One of the things I brought up on Westminster's podcast is I do feel like we've been given a gift to use, to not hide the fact of our Christian walk and everything. We kind of want to bring in some of our Christian walk into this podcast. And I think what we do every now and then, I kind of want it to be on the front of our minds every time we get in front of a mic. And I think Adam wants to do it too. It doesn't have to be the topic of every show. It's just something we want to, we're not ashamed to talk about. And we want to, we kind of want to be out there, just saying we're not hiding. We are Christians. We want to encourage people with the love of Christ. But we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, probably. Adam, you want to take them home?
Absolutely. Thank you again, everybody, for giving us some of your time. We do love you, but not as much as Jesus does. Stay safe out there. Be kind to one another as always, and we will talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.